All right. Hello, everybody. Welcome to another episode of Enlightened Conversations. Really excited for today and to introduce you guys to my awesome guests. We have Kat Trimarco. I think I pronounced that right. I didn't ask her before we started.
You did. Very good.
Really excited to chat with her. She's in Los Angeles, and Kat is a transformational spiritual leader, teacher, and coach, and came across her Instagram page not too long ago and immediately saw the impact she was making on her audience and the love and light she was spreading, and knew we would have a fun conversation, which is what we're going to have today. So without further ado for me, I want to introduce you guys to Kat, and you can share with the audience so they're more familiar with you, who you are, what you do, why you do it, all that good stuff.
Yeah, first I just want to say thank you so much for reaching out and for having your platform and have where we can have these conversations. And I was so delighted to see your message and also see what you were doing in the world and your energy just through your social media. So I'm really grateful and delighted to be here, and hopefully this conversation is of high value to anyone who listens in. What do I do and why do I do it? That is a question I have asked myself for a long time. I feel like really to label is to limit. To label is to limit, but I identify as a transformation agent. I help people create change and transformation in their life, and to live into higher realms of possibility, to shift into new realities within their own life in different contexts. And I started doing this work. I always say I don't feel like I chose being a teacher and a coach. It chose me. It was not something that I consciously and intentionally was like, I'm going to go out and become a leader or a coach. It actually kind of terrified me, but it was a deeper soul calling. It was a deeper knowing within the core of my being that, hey, this is why you're here on the earth. Awaken to it, let it come forth from within you. So it was really actually a more of a process of letting it come forth from within me that was triggered and activated through tragedy in my life and through I got sober after 10 years of drug and alcohol abuse. I left my relationship and my partner passed away, and all of that, I do share that whole journey and story in my book, Self-Approved, but it was all of that catalyzed me to start looking in a new direction and going, who am I? Who am I really? If life can end in a second, if somebody I love can be here 1 second and gone the next second, and I refuse to accept that they're gone because I could still feel him very much, or like you could still feel his soul essence. I started asking bigger questions. Why are we here? What are we doing on earth? How do I create what I want to create? How do I create beauty and joy and love in my human experience, in my life? And how do I help others do that? And what I learned within that is that as I lead myself, as I be courageous, as I continue to evolve and expand and become more and more and more and more and more and live in higher states of joy and love and fun, that's the real work. And then I teach from that place. And it's kind of like those who want to come. And I really feel that this might be going in a little deep, a little quick, but I just feel called to say it. I do feel that's the new form of leadership. It's like, hey, I'm going to continually co-create and manifest my own experience, my own life. And if this excites you, if this is the way you want to do things in your life too, come along for the ride and I'll teach you what to do. I'll teach you how I'm doing it. With that being said, as I stepped into this work and into these realms, I really learned how to open up my own channels of consciousness and how to tap into higher spiritual wisdom and really get answers through my own internal faculties and like download those into books, into words, into programs, into teachings. And so it's a ever evolving journey, but the core of my mission is to connect people back home to the truth of who they are, to their power, to their co-creative power in working with this force, this universe in all different areas of their life.
Wow, Kat, this conversation has got off to an awesome start. And if we didn't have your attention when we first started, if we have your attention now, I'm certain, very excited for where this conversation is evolving to. And the reason that, and I love how you said at the very beginning, the first thing you said, that you feel that labels are limiting. And the reason why is because we're always evolving, just like Kat just described. And, so to be able to say that we're something is almost finite, which is we're infinite, because we're always going to have additional life experiences. And you mentioned some really challenging ones throughout what you just shared, and how for for any of us as we're experiencing challenging experiences, they're going to be that we're human, and then where they can propel us to, and how much we can appreciate them, as we look back and connect the dots to where we are currently is a pretty awesome part of life. If we allow ourselves to embrace that, and to be okay with that, and to let ourselves evolve. I love everything that you just said, which makes me very curious to know, like for you, how, because I'm always curious with people, like how the light bulb comes on. Is the only reason I do anything that I do is to help us remember, and you mentioned this as well, who and what all
Mhm.
of us truly are. And once we can have that light bulb come on, and now choose to go live our lives however we choose. I never tell people how they should live or shouldn't live. Like those words don't even come out of my mouth. Um,
Mhm.
I'm just really excited for us when we have the awareness that we can choose, and that we can, create whatever we want in this life. How did the light bulb come on for you? Like, did you already have some of these awarenesses before the painful, challenging times where you?
Yeah. I mean, that's a really good question because from the time I was like 11, 12, 13, I was reading like channeled spiritual material. Like I had conversations with God for teens from Neil Donald Walsh. And so, but I didn't really know what I was reading. Like I just knew that it felt good. I just knew that this feels like, whew, I can feel it even in like my being now. It's almost like this feels like the closest thing to truth that I've ever felt, independent of words. And I'd always felt growing up, and I talk about this in my book, so I was very conscious of it from a young age. I felt as a kid like, what the fuck is going on here? Like, what is everybody doing? Where are they getting their information? Is what I really was happening inside of me. Of like, who's deciding? That was always a question in me, is says who? Like, says who? Why do I have to do that? Why is that the mandate? Why is that the rule? Why do I have to look like that? Why do I have to talk like that? Why do I have to be like that? From the time I was tiny, like bless my mother for raising me as a child that had those questions. And that's what caused me so much pain and suffering, is actually when I tried to fit in, when I tried to conform, and I still sucked at conforming. Like I tried to conform, and I had tattoos all over my neck, and I couldn't fit into the box that I felt like society was trying to fit me into. And even then I went on to become a hairstylist, and that's like a super creative expression, and I still felt trapped. I still felt like there's more, there's more, there's more, there's more. So I feel like I always had that inside my heart of like a knowing of like there's more, and the way people are living is whack. And that that before I awoke into it, before the light bulb came on, was pain and suffering, because I'm like, oh, this kind of sucks. Like I thought on a soul level, I'm like, I thought we were free. I thought we were here to create. I knew I should be able to do what I want and be what I want and express how I want. And so the ending of my relationship and then his death was my light bulb to commit to, there is a real world beyond what I am seeing. There is a real co-creative power and force beyond what I see most people living, and I'm going to find it, and I'm going to figure this shit out, and I'm going to learn how to live from that place. And this was really cool because actually in the moment, like while this was happening in my life, and there was a lot of backstory. We had Intervention, the television show, involved. Like it was, there was a lot of pieces to it, and I'm just kind of describing like the end piece that was the big like bomb drop that catalyzed it, but it really was a lot leading up to that. Even while that was happening, I knew inside of myself something big is happening, like something is unfolding, and I knew that it was for good. I knew that, even so it was like there's these contradictions inside of me, because my human self was like, holy fuck, what just happened? Is this even real? What is going on? And I went to the place of calm and truth and knowing inside that was like, this is, you are being birthed into a new life. And I knew that. And so that's the place I went to. So that was the light bulb coming on. But in truth, Noel, I feel like we have light bulbs continually coming on. And I I mean, I share my story, but at the same time, I don't want people to ever feel like, sometimes I think that as humans, we romanticize suffering and we romanticize the fall. for those of us who have had like big catalyzing events that shifted us. And I want people to know that like you don't have to wait for that. Like we can move through desire into new realms, into being something new, creating something new, manifesting something new. We don't have to wait for intense like contrast to hit us. And so I mean, I still share my story, and it is what shaped me and awoke in me. But it's possible now that I've realized we can just continue to lean into creation for fun and for joy and for expansion, but we have to choose it. And so many people just don't choose it because they're unwilling to look at anything other than what they've always known in order to look there. And so for me, there's still light bulbs. I think I have daily light bulbs. Every single day, I'm waking up to new aspects of myself and my potential and what I can create and what I can have and what I can be in the world. And it's kind of this like whirlwind all the time of expanding now. So, I mean, that was the big light bulb, but there's every day there's light bulbs now.
I'm so happy that you just said this. Like, this has inspired me so much. I'm very excited to share what I'm getting ready to share because it's so true. And when I mention light bulb, I'm so happy I get to clarify this right now. Whenever I mention light bulb moment, it's when we, at that point, decide to start consciously choosing to allow ourselves to evolve so that we can have light bulbs for the rest of our life. Like for all of us, like we're just going to become more and more and more aware of who and what we all truly are. And even if we became more aware every second of every day, consciously on purpose, which we are doing once we decide that we're going to allow other, cool synchronicities to show up in our lives in the forms of people or books or courses or however, a podcast or whatever it is. Like once we are like consciously choosing like, there is something else at play here. And we start discovering who and what we all truly are. We start discovering that, even though we're different physical expressions, in these shells that we're in, we're all the same non-physical energy flowing through it. And that's who all of us are. So yeah, it doesn't feel good when we try to be like someone else or act a certain way because we think that we're supposed to, because our energy wants to express itself how it came here to express itself through our life experience. And all of us have lived such unique life experiences that, if we really get to, if we can embrace that and just flow that same non-physical energy. If you're looking at Kat and be like, damn, Kat is an awesome human. She's just a reflection of you because she has the same non-physical energy flowing through her, just through her life experience. And you can flow that same energy through whatever it is that you're inspired out there to create. So I love that you said that, because ever since the light bulb initially came on to where I was like, oh, there's more going on than, what I'm just seeing around me. Like there's way more going on. And none of us will know everything that there is to know. And we don't need to during this one incarnation. Like it's just not necessary for us to use all of the truths of the universe right here and now. But we'll discover what we need to discover and unfold. We need to unfold about ourselves when we're ready to, when we can use them on this current journey that we're in. And I just love that you said it, because yes, it's constant evolution for all of us. And it makes it so much fun when you're aware of that, because then you can just be like a kid and just like the adventure of life becomes, that it's like, ooh, what am I going to discover about myself today and about life today? So I love it.
I want to kind of highlight what you said about allowing the energy to flow through us, and just to like highlight for anyone listening too that it's it's even less of a like, oh, I see that thing outside of me and I want to be like that, so now I'm going to embark on a journey toward that, right? And it's like, yeah, it's like if you spot it, you got it. And then it's the awakening within to it. It's the embodiment of it. It's the becoming of it. But I think sometimes the human illusion, because we're tricked even into success in this way, that it's like, and don't get me wrong, I am all for success on the material realm. I'm not one of those spiritual people that's like, oh, we don't need anything. I'm like, no, let's play bigger because we're infinite beings. But it's this like, it's not like something you've got to go out and change about you and become it. It's about embodiment of it. It's about like tuning to that expression, removing the ideas and the blocks and the beliefs so the energy can flow through, which the old paradigm is like, oh, I need to go out and do something, or I need to go out and become something, or I need to go chase it. It's subtle, but it's a different energy. So I just like heard that energetically as you were speaking and wanted to highlight it.
I love it. It's being, when Kat says embodying it, it's being the frequency of it, because we're just energy. And these days scientifically frequency can be measured. So if we can be, whatever it is that we want to be, do, have, and if we can embody the frequency of it and live that right now, then our external reality has to conform to that, has to match to that. We have to attract the synchronicities that will allow us to be that, because that's the frequency that we're living in. So I love that you just mentioned that. This is awesome conversation so far. So much fun. What do you like right now for you? Like we're here recording this, we're March now, almost going into April, the time of this recording. Like, what are you excited about this year in 2020 that you're doing? You mentioned a book already multiple times. Say the title of your book one more time, pretty please.
My book is called Self-Approved, and it's available worldwide on Amazon. I have another book that is written right now, and I'm just exploring how that's going to be birthed into the world. My first book I self-published, so this one, yeah, it's on this stuff that we're talking about, of frequency and energy and understanding like physical world reality constructs versus energetic constructs, and how we use energetic constructs to create tangibles in the material realm. So it's kind of like a one foot in both worlds. And so again, yeah, this was just information that was really channeled through me, just as much for my own learning when I first wrote it, and now I've learned to embody it more and more and more. So I'm really excited for that, and for the birth of that, and for seeing how that comes out into the world. And okay, a couple things. I'm like, oh, there's so much I'm excited for. So an edge for me as a teacher has been allowing myself to have a beautiful life. That has actually been an edge for me. It's been easier for me to give and easier for me to be of service, than it has been for me to receive. And so my edge right now is actually learning how to receive in higher capacities, from the universe, from people, financially, love. And so I'm excited for that. It feels really unfamiliar, and I'm excited for that. I'm excited for like discovering the deeper worthiness of my own being, and letting go of more of the doing and stepping into more receiving. So on a personal level, that's what I'm excited for, and what that will translate into in my manifest physical reality. And I'm excited, for my channel being open to new teachings. So this is really cool. And I teach a program where I help people become, I call it the quantum teacher, where you're not just like, I want to be a coach, so I'm going to go to life coach school and study this material. It's like, no, I'm going to teach you how to open your channel to download divine information and turn through your unique experience and turn it into teachings that's unique to you, and then how your people hear the frequency of it, all these things. But as I teach this, and as I open up my own channel, I'm receiving different guidance. I'm receiving higher realms of consciousness, if you will, information and material through my being. And it's a bit of a surrendering process, because a bit of my human self, my ego, wants to be like, no, that can't be true, or no, that's a little crazy, that's a little esoteric, people aren't ready to hear that yet. And with everything that's happening in our world right now, I'm like, oh shit, this stuff's been like trying to come through, and now it's time. Like, I've got to let it through. I've got to not judge it, so that it can come through me. So I'm excited about that, about continuing to open myself up to new frequencies and to higher realms, and translate those messages for people to assist others in remembering and awakening, and really using it. I'm a bit of a non-specific teacher. Like, I'm not like hey, here's how you make X amount of dollars, or here's how you do this, and this. I'm more about, here's the energetic structural foundation. Now, how do you want to apply that to your life? How do you want to apply that to your unique human experience? So I'm excited for more and more of that, for more of allowing these messages to come through, and being available for it, like creating a frequency in my own life that has me open up and be available to it. Because as I do that, it's a bit of a rocket ship ride, where I'm like, okay, here we go. This is what's coming out today. So I'm excited about that, and I'm excited about the unknown, because as I've allowed myself to live a life of unknown in the physical realm and step more and more into the quantum realm, I allow more and more miracles to come in. I allow more and more surprises to come in. And so I'm excited for what's around the corner that I can't see yet that's coming. Yeah.
Such an
Those are some
awesome,
things.
awesome place to be in. Like everybody out there in the audience, like pay close attention because I'm the same. Everything you just described, it's like I'm just reflecting what Kat is saying. Like I love everything that she shared, and just notice how she started with mentioning because her life experience has shown her that she's like she loves giving. She's awesome at at giving and giving, and now she's calling in and excited like the adventure that she described as far as the unknown and the excitement to see how she's going to allow more receiving in all areas of life to come in, abundance wise and
Mhm.
everything else. Like is such an awesome frequency for any of us to be in because our life experience is going to cause us to have a clearer picture as of today than we've ever had as far as what we like, what we don't like, what we desire, what we don't want any longer in our life. And like that's awesome. So if we can, instead of trying to be anxious about it and figure out how it's going to happen, when it's going to happen, who it's going to be, if you want a relationship, or all the questions that we ask as humans that if we're trying to figure it out right this second will just make us anxious, and our frequency will be more on the lack of having it versus the actually what we want to embody, like we talked about. And so like the
Mhm.
place that she's in as far as just embracing the adventure and the unknown and being really curious like a little kid would be, like what's this adventure going to be like today, is such an awesome place for us to live. And I love living that way every single day because we share a planet with 7.7 billion people. There's beautiful places all over the planet, and we have no idea, what's behind the scenes happening, synchronicity wise, that will
Mhm.
be a frequency match to what we are embodying. That all of a sudden you're meeting this awesome person and they're doing this awesome thing that you're also feeling in alignment with, and now all of a sudden you're on this trajectory, on this journey, and it can happen in so many different ways. So I love what you just described. It's such an awesome place for any of us to be.
Yeah, I stepped out, like, it was probably a year and a half ago where I deliberately, like, hurled myself into the unknown. It was intentional though, but because I wanted to play with these energies and I was like, okay, if you're really going to do this, then I left my house in Canada. I hired a property manager. I own the home. I hired a property manager. I got on a one-way plane ticket to LA, and I didn't have tenants in my house, and it was just pure like, all right, universe, am I really an infinite being? Can I really do this? Like, show me I'm supported, show me that I can do this. And there's real human experiences in that. Like, part of me was like, oh, fuck, what are you doing? Some people in my life were like, what are you doing? And I'm like, I just know, I trust, I got this, I got this, I got this, I believe, I believe, I believe. The plane landed, I turned my phone off airplane mode, and I have a text from my property manager. I just found you the perfect tenant. And so I just want to share that because it's sometimes when we speak from these higher realms, because we've learned to live from them and learn to embody them, someone who's new on the journey might be like, yeah, but I have all these physical things around me. How do I even start to do that? And that was actually my experience of it. As I was like, I've learned this stuff enough. I've been like studying, I've been watching people, I've been tapping into my own messages, and now I want to do it. Like, I want to actually put myself in the scenarios where I'm not just talking my talk, where I actually have to live it. And yeah, when we put ourselves into the unknown, we actually discover how loved we are, how supported we are, how there literally is a force behind our back assisting us in every next move. And so for me now that I'm like in a home again and like a little more settled, if you will, whatever that means, but like I'm not just like going on a whim every single day. Now it's like, how can I bring that energy of being totally in the present moment without falling into routine too much and too much like prediction of the future based on my now, when I'm in the same surrounding every day. And it's a real art, like it like living in this way, if in my experience it's an art form, it's a form of art of tuning into different frequencies and like, okay, where am I getting stuck in routine and in pattern and just being who I was yesterday because it's familiar and easy, and where can I go into the unknown? People don't force themselves into the unknown because it's scary, and that's where people never realize their co-creative power. And that's why we wait for the thing to hit up us upside the head So we're like, oh shit, I better look somewhere else. And then we do it. And so I want to help more and more people, like, hey, look into the unknown before your physical world reality hits you upside the head, because we're living the path is awakening, our planet is awakening, human consciousness is awakening. It is the trajectory of the world. We're just getting started. I guarantee, like, there will be a time when people look back on this and it'll be like, what we're tapping into now is like common knowledge, is like peanuts, is like, yeah, of course, because of the realms we're going to, but we get to look into the unknown now. And when you can become brave enough to look into the unknown now, that's where opportunity comes from. That's where these amazing synchronicities come from. We have to be willing to let go of what we know. We have to be willing to let go of even parts of our identity and who we think we are and how we think our life should look, so that we can open to that. And whether it's like going to a new coffee shop, right? Like, maybe you're going to meet your partner or someone, amazing business collaboration or something, just from that one impulse to go somewhere new and do something different. So listen to those impulses. Like, that's what I would say to anybody, is like, start paying attention. Like, listen, like, where do you just go into routine, and where can you do something different and shift the energy and shift like your physical being and who you're being, so that you can open to the new possibilities. And that's an edge for a lot of people, because it's the physical realm is very known. And I mean, right now in our world, there's uncertain times for a lot of people, and it's a blessing in that way, because people are being forced to look where they have not looked before. They're being the physical stability is being ripped away for a lot of people, and that's a beautiful thing, because now more and more people will be looking towards the only place we actually have power anyways.
I love that. I think I know everything that you say is going to inspire me to share things that will be impactful for the audience. This is why I love doing these conversations, Kat, because it's just it's an unknown conversation. It's a conversation
Mm-hmm.
that you and I have never had before. And the energy that you're bringing to it and then I'm bringing to it, together, we're co-creating something that is awesome. And just for everybody out there, like, everything that you see in man-made, at least, at some point was in the unknown for a human that was like, I'm tired of standing up or sitting on the ground. Like, I want a chair to sit in. They didn't even know what to call it that, but they were like, let me, like, then people were like, that's silly. Like, you can never, like, we can't sit on something and like, it won't just crumple behind you. And they're like, no, we can do it. And they went on their journey into the unknown of creating this object that we now call chair, and have it evolved in so many different ways. And that's everything that we see man-made, anywhere around us. And here's what makes it super easy for us. And this is just going to be a language, like, it's just semantics, but this is the way I look at it, as far as taking inspired action versus taking motivated action, where if I have a motive, it's like, I want to make these things happen because this will make me happy. I'll feel successful, or I'll have the relationship. So I'm going to go to like every coffee shop in town because my motive is to find this relationship. That's a different way of creation versus inspired, which I take the root inspire from, coming from spirit, where it's like, ooh, I know that if I'm at peace or content, or if I'm feeling anything where the frequency is feeling where I know I'm connected to all it is, to God, to love, to the universe, to spirit, to source, to the fourth, infinite intelligence, whatever you want to call it. And I'm getting messages, I'm getting impulses from there, go to this coffee shop. Follow those like all the time, 100 out of 100 times, because there's some life experience there. Maybe it might not be the person that you want to meet and spend the rest of your life with, but who knows what could be there. Like, it's just, and you could have so much fun there that you can go there tomorrow and then meet the person. Like, you just don't know what's at work, but just follow the inspirations. And whenever I know that ideas and thoughts are, when I'm channeling them from a frequency that I enjoy, where I'm in a good mood, where my energy is one that I'm cool with, where for me, and I'm not saying anybody out there should be this way, but the way that I like to live life is at peace or content or feeling stronger momentum than that. Like, we all love to be blissful and like euphoric and like enjoying life.
Mm-hmm.
I'm not demanding that of myself, because that's not like, if we live that way all the time, would we really appreciate it? Like, that's just not like the human experience is embodying like everything, but just being aware of it. And then knowing that we have the power to allow ourselves to return back to being who we all truly are, which is, being connected. So I just know where the thoughts are coming from. And if I know I'm in a good mood and I have an idea, then that's something I'm immediately putting into action, because that's an inspired idea. For instance, coming across Kat's Instagram page, she must have posted something on Instagram that day. Don't know how exactly it showed up on my thing, but I was open to inviting people to the podcast, which I only do like once, like maybe every couple of months. I'll just be inspired to invite a bunch of people that I'm just inspired to chat with. And Kat was one of them that day. And within seconds, I was sending her a voice message telling her how awesome she was and that I wanted to have a conversation with her. And I knew that if that, energy that I was sending to Kat resonated with her, that she would respond back because she would want to co-create in that space as well. And now we're talking. So that's everything in life. Like going into the unknown is just, it's so much fun because that's the only way that we can create anything new. Like, is what if we're constantly in the same energy doing the same things, like that's already manifested. Like if we're just like everything that we see right now, it's already manifested. So now if you want to create something that's evolved from there, then yeah, we're going to have to embrace the unknown and go into some new, experience some new frequencies, embody a new frequency so that we can create whatever that new thing is. So I love it.
Yeah, I have a practice I do every morning that ties into that. And I teach my clients this too, is I say, create your emotional like nucleus right when you wake up. So I do this like right when before I open my eyes, I kind of like, I'm like, okay, what emotion do I want to tune into today? And sometimes it is joy. Like sometimes it is like, ding, like let's get out of bed and like do things and da 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 da. And I used to be like that a lot because I'm like I like doing things, like I like creating things. And now sometimes it'll be like contentment, and it'll just be like sometimes it'll just be like gratitude, and I'll find that feeling, and I deliberately set that, and then let, as you described, and I'm just kind of like reiterating this for people who are maybe new to hearing this conversation. It's like then the thoughts, the ideas, the impulses, as simple as like, I'm just going to go on Instagram and end up here. Once we're in that frequency, then we're guided to those places. And it can be simple. It's simple, but it's not always easy to start. But that's how I always teach people to start. I'm like, before you even wake up, before you even have a chance to start thinking, just go, what emotion am I going to tap into? And for a lot of people, when I started doing this, I actually realized how low some of the frequencies I was waking up on were, because I would reach for joy or reach for gratitude and I didn't even have access to it. I was like, I actually feel like couldn't even put a word to it, but almost just like a heaviness, like in my being. And I'm like, what is that about? And so I think it's important to highlight that, because sometimes when we step into doing this work, or if someone's stepping into being a intentional co-creator in their life, that's a real thing we come up to when we go to move, we go to elevate, and we go, whoa, what is that in the way? Like, what is that thing? But as we become conscious to it, then we can see it, be aware of it. Now it's not like, oh, I am this person. It's, oh, this is an experience I'm having, or, oh, this is a frequency that I must have been living in that I wasn't aware of. And now where do I want to go? Now what do I want to create from that? And I think that this is beautiful in relationships too, because it's really how we access the highest consciousness in relationships, in how we relate with other people, whether it's a romantic partner, or a friend, or a client, or anyone, is that as we see others as not the frequency that they're in this given moment, but that it's just a program they're in, or an experience they're having, and we can hold our own love for them and actually assist someone in finding a new realm. And that was something that always used to confuse me in relationships. I was like, I don't understand this thing. Like, I don't understand how we like be with another human and like communicate. Like, it seemed really chaotic and seemed really like whoa, this is like, where was the relationship school training that we didn't get growing up? But tying that into it, then we can become really conscious in relationship, and use our relationships to elevate ourselves into higher aspects of who we be on the planet and in our life, and assist our partner or other people that we're in relationship with in our life to also access that within themselves. And then it's a really, really beautiful co-creative experience. So it's really exciting, the more of us that wake up to this and can start navigating the human experience in this way, because we get to create, then we get to start co-creating things in a different way. And it leads me to want to tell just a little story. When I was a little kid, I always had reoccurring dreams, and I actually would have reoccurring nightmares, which were like a lot of fear. But then I would also have reoccurring dreams where I was flying. And I was like, I would be flying through the trees and flying through nature. It was always in nature. And I was aware. I was like, I'm flying. I'm like, this is so cool. Whoa. And then I would almost be like, I can't fly. Can I fly? Am I allowed to fly? And I would start descending and I would see the ground coming. And then like an airplane, how pilots like pull up the thing. I would like pull up and go, whoa, and then like keep flying. Like I was tiny, I was a little kid. And I would tell my dad this. I'm like, Dad, I keep having these, I'm flying in my dreams, and then this happens and this happens. And I think my dad's like a sage that I don't even know if he knows, but I think he's like a spiritual sage. He has like high wisdom. And he says, can you look at your hands in your dream? And I was like, I don't know. I've never tried. And he goes, the next time you have a flying dream, try to look at your hands. And I was like, okay, but why? And he says, if you can control your dream, you can control your life. And I was like 5 or 6. And
That's
it
awesome.
was like I knew what he was saying. It was like I could feel the frequency of his words. I was like, I can control my dream and I can control my life. And then my life, obviously I forgot that and then embarked on a journey of forgetting, which I think a lot of us do. And I realized it was like, wow, shit, like part of my soul had that destiny this whole time to awaken and to now learn how to do this in life in this realm. So that was a really profound, like connecting a dot looking back. um yeah, I just wanted to share that.
That's an awesome story. Kat was lucid dreaming at 5, which is awesome.
Yeah.
Look up lucid dreaming out there, anyone, if you're inspired to. It's a pretty awesome part of life. But when she just said, I can fly, when she was aware of that and actually starting to take control over it is pretty awesome. That's an intention that I have for life. I haven't put a lot of attention and energy into it, but I think it would be really cool. I know I would just do all like pleasure things and like the dream. So I don't know. We'll see. We'll see if that's something that I want to. I just think it'd be cool to do, so I could tell stories about it and be able to lucid dream. People have given me some tips. I've talked to some dream interpreters on the podcast that have told me different strategies and whatnot. So um,
Yeah.
interesting part of
I
life.
actually don't have that experience anymore, but now I'm like, oh, how do I do that in my life? Like
So
in the physical realm, like controlling things through
for sure.
energy in the physical realm.
I love what
Yeah.
your dad said to you as a 5-year-old. You received it. It stuck with you as far as if you can control your dream, you can control your life. Which
Hmm.
what I get from that is, we can be, do, and have anything, and everything is possible. So we can control our dreams and we can control our life, like as far as the things that we want to embody and create. So I think that's awesome. And I have to make sure I point this out. What Kat described as she wakes up, and this is a practice. So don't beat yourself up, because I love what you said, not having the ability. I've been here for sure. Like I used to wake up some days and it was just like, why do I just feel like heavy and like just not excited about anything? It's not like I have, and there's other days where I legitimately was like anxious about something. And like on those days, I also wasn't excited. And the momentum, because energy is momentum. So we might start at a certain place, whether it be in a good mood or not so good mood. And if we keep focusing on whatever it is that we're focusing on, because it's never like what's happening, it's how we're focusing on it, and like our story about it is what's causing the energy to continue to go momentum wise. And so we can feel worse and worse and worse if we continue focusing on things that has us feeling anxious, or we can feel better and better and better if we're deciding to set our frequency in the morning to peace and contentment, or to joy, like you mentioned, or anything else. And here's what I love just knowing is, as we practice this, it becomes something where we are getting in the habit of waking up in a really good mood, which is awesome,
Hmm.
which I'm so happy about. And it took a lot of like uncovering blind spots with me, like through guided meditations, where I didn't realize like I was being really critical of myself. And my greatest weakness, Kat, like once upon a time in my life, and the audience knows this, was I always thought I was going to be a professional athlete, pro baseball player from the time I was 2 until I was 21. And then I tore my shoulder and I couldn't throw anymore at 21. And by 23, I just knew it wasn't going to happen. And so from like 23 to 26, life became all like future based, external. I'll be happy when. Only reason I was in LA is because I was going to act and to model. And
Hmm.
it's like, this is the only way I could be successful as an athlete if I'm a movie star. So I'm going to go to LA. didn't realize millions of others had that plan as well. And I wasn't passionate about it. And it was just the longer I spent trying to fix things in the future and create things so that I could be happy, the worse that I felt. So it was a very rough period of time. And then had a mentor share the first spiritual book that I had ever read, which kind of reawakened me, turned the light bulb on. I wasn't like all fairy tales, rainbows, and like, butterflies at that point. But at least I knew I could choose my reality. And I started being able to attract different resources and books and people and all sorts of things. My point is, I don't remember what my point was about that, but I wanted to make another point about what you said when it comes to all of us, like just knowing that any human being, when it comes to human relationships, all of us have the ability to feel happy, joyful, blissful, powerless, depressed, angry, frustrated, everything in between. Like we all have that capability, and I've probably all felt in all of those energetic realms. And there's words that we can't even describe. Like we can feel better than bliss, and we can feel worse than powerless and depressed. Like the energy is just infinite in both directions. But just being aware of that, we can have compassion for every human being on the planet. If they're experiencing a time that might be more than desirable, we can say, I understand, like that's part of the human experience as well. I've probably been there. And if not, there's a chance that I could be there as well. So I can like show them compassion versus judging and being critical of them, and knowing that that's just part of all of our experiences. And then the last thing I'll say when it comes to human relationships, if we can just control the only thing that any of us can control, which is what's our frequency in the moment, and be able to be that light for ourselves, most importantly, because that's all that, if we can't fill our own cup up, then we don't have anything to share with anyone anyways. But a lot of times we can be that light for others to where they can feel the light as well, and we can pull them to where we are. Or, if you just decide that that's just how you want to live today, you want to be that light, you want to be who you truly are, the people that are around us, whether it be intimate relationships, friendships, business partnerships, if you've made it most important to you, and this is like number one for me, is all I care about is present moment awareness, because that's all I can control. And it's most important to me. So if I can make that most important to me, the only people that are going to be playing with me in life, co-creating with me, are going to be people that are willing to come play with me in that space, because it's non-negotiable for me. I'm not going to blame them for, I was in such a good mood until you came around and now I'm in a crap mood.
Yeah.
Like I'm not going there because one, I just joined them in that shitty mood. But then also like I just gave all my power to them, and it had nothing to do with them. It's totally me giving my attention and my story of I was in a great mood until you came. That's just not true. Like it's just, so we get to have that power. And when we decide that that's most important to us, if you do decide, I'm not saying you should or shouldn't out there, but if you do make that decision, like whenever people talk to me about like the relationship that are in, I just ask, are both people making it most important that their present moment energy be one of at least peace, being connected? Is that important to you or not? If it's not important to you, then life's just going to be all over the place. You're going to experience all the energetic realms, which we're going to experience anyways, but you're not purposely, you're not controlling it. Like it's just the external is controlling your vibration, and it's just, you're on a roller coaster. So I know I just said a lot right there, but you inspired all of that out of me. And I just want people to just be aware of their own frequency and for it to matter to them. And if it does, then people will just come and play with you in those frequencies. And life is so much fun when you're playing.
It is so much fun.
Yeah.
When I moved to LA, everyone's like, "Oh, like how is your settling in going here?" And like, do you feel low? And I was like, everywhere I go, I meet great people. I was like,
sure.
like anywhere I go, I go to a coffee shop, I meet great people. I go to my gym, I now have friends at my gym. Like, but that's the way I live now as well. Is it's like I'm like I am home, like me in here. This is home, and I can meet friends and great people everywhere I go, and that's been my experience. And so much to the point that I'm like, oh yeah, not everyone lives in that reality. So I'm like, no, I felt just as much at home moving here by myself from a different country than I did anywhere. But yeah, I love that. And I just wanted to highlight another part of what you said with the relationships is I think it's cool because when the more that people awaken, that we all awaken, and when both people are living from that place, then it's less personal when your partner or someone in your life is having an emotional experience, right? It's because there's a knowing of like, I'm off kilter, I gotta go do whatever I need to do to refine my own alignment and to be in harmony again. And then it's not oh my gosh, are you mad at me? Oh my gosh, did I do something wrong? That gets to get dismantled. And sure, those things still get triggered, but when we become conscious of them, then it's like, okay, cool, I know that they need to go take care of themselves to find their higher alignment again. And then we know how to take care of ourselves without looking for someone else to you got to take care of my alignment. Well, no, I got to take care of it. I got to find it, and I'll come meet you back once I'm there. And I think when two people are operating in that place, just a lot of issues or problems that people experience in relationship are solved naturally on their own.
I love that. I love that. And in addition to what Kat just said, don't be willing to talk to your partner or anyone or even yourself from any frequency other than one where you know you're connected, where you're at least at peace and content and calm. Because if you're going to, first of all, I don't believe that it's, call it ego or call it whatever you want to call it. But when we're in the frequencies of anxious, worried, frustrated, angry, upset, rage, powerless, depressed, that's not who we really are. So nothing that you say, nothing that you're thinking is who you really are. It's just all fake. I don't have any desire to talk to you in that frequency, nor talk to myself in that frequency or anyone else. So if you can be aware and it's important to you, and like Kat just said, if you can be aware of that and not make it anybody else's fault or even your fault, it just is what it is. That's just your current present moment frequency. And if it matters to you, then doing what you need to do to return to alignment, just even reminding yourself that everything is working out for me. Like everything is flowing. Like I know that this has been a challenging experience. And at the same time, I know that I might not know how or when or where or how it's going to work out, but I know it is. Just even that little optimism is going to bump our frequency up a little bit. And we can get momentum going from there. So if we can make that important to us, because I see so many people, and I mean, I've been here before. Everything I say, like I've been here, like I understand it. I'm just aware to it now. Like I'm hyper focused on present moment. That's all I care about, like is present moment awareness. And when I know I'm connected, I don't have to think about like ever. I don't have to, because when we talk about channeling and all these things, it's just from a frequency. And if it's one that you can get behind, that you enjoy, same as tuning, to go on XM radio and saying, I want to hear hip hop. You go to the hip hop station, there's a radio frequency and the channel is playing the sound from that frequency. We're doing the same thing as human beings. We're on a frequency. The thoughts that we can receive, you'll never receive a depressed thought from a happy frequency. And you'll never receive a happy thought from a depressed frequency. It just won't happen. So if we can know that we're in a good mood, our energy is good, one that we're okay with, then you don't have to worry about like anything. You just let the thoughts and the words come out and the actions, like it's all going to be filled with that frequency. And at the same time, we're like, oh, I'm not in my best mood. I don't really like how I'm being right now. Like, that's not when you want to think about how to solve life's problems, because the radio station that you're on is you're in a jacked up place. Like you're not gonna have any solutions from that place.
It's like, go for a walk, go for a run. I would love to hear your thoughts on the piece of how you said like just elevating and trusting everything works out, specifically in communicating and relationship. What are your thoughts on like how much of that we do, and then how much of being conscious of the program, like, oh, I'm experiencing this, whatever like the lower frequency emotion is, but having a consciousness of it, like having an awareness of, oh, there's this program. I call them programs sometimes. Like there's this program coming up that's connected to anger or connected to fear. And like speaking it, but from an awareness that it isn't self. Does that make sense? Like kind of how we work with coaches in that way. It's like, oh, if I'm working with a client, I'm aware that's not their program. And my intention is to like help them become aware that that's just a program and find another one. What are your thoughts in that? And this is an exploratory conversation for me too, because I haven't really talked about this, but like how much do we just shift our frequency and go, oh, everything's going to work out? And how much do we look at the program, become conscious of the program, change the program? Like, what are your thoughts on it, or what is your experience with that in connecting with people?
For sure. So when I mentioned the affirmation of everything is working out, that was said with an intention to slow down momentum, because if have momentum carrying us from, because nobody goes from, being in a good mood or being at peace to depressed in 1 second. You typically go from peace to now I'm like anxious about something. Now I'm super frustrated because I'm still thinking about that thing I'm anxious about. Now I'm upset and I'm feeling like powerless because I'm thinking about that thing that I've been frustrated about for like an hour now, or 30 minutes, or however long it takes. And momentum is just spiraling. So the sooner that we can become aware of that, and the only way that we can become, fully aware is if we care. Like it has to matter to us. Like if you're out there listening, and if you're listening to this podcast, it obviously matters, because you wouldn't be listening to this if it didn't. Like you're seeking awareness and you're wanting to become more aware of who all of us truly are. So if it matters to us and we can notice, ooh, that feels, especially if you're waking up in the morning and putting your frequency where you put yours, Kat, and like that's what you're coaching people, which is awesome. Like for me, when I first wake up in the morning, like I use the bathroom, drink some water, and I'll meditate for as long as it takes for me to put my frequency in a place where I like it to be. It could be peace and content. It could be happy, blissful. It could be wherever. If I have a download come to me, which a lot of times happens in meditation, I know I'm connected because you're not receiving downloads that are the answers to questions you've been asking if you're not connected. My meditation stops. I write it down, like I journal, do whatever I need to do. And now I'm living from there. And so there's an obvious difference from that frequency of being connected first thing in the morning to feeling anxious about something. Like that just, like we could feel that in me, like, ooh, I don't like that. I was just feeling really good and now I'm feeling this. And so if we're aware of it, now we have a choice to, I mean, if we can get to the point where we just decide that we want to be at peace and content and just move our frequency right back to that. At the beginning, that might be a little bit difficult. It's good for us to know things like going in nature, like you mentioned, or listening to music, or maybe listen to some personal development, or anything that allows us to be good. If we can just go into meditation for a second, if you have a meditation practice, like that's something that can immediately slow momentum. And if we can find things to appreciate about the situation or about life, that can move our frequency up. So we have all of these things. And then when it comes to programs, like the only time I care about the program is after I become aware of, there's something that keeps coming up and now I'm feeling the same frequency. What's happening here? Like what's going on behind the scenes that maybe is a blind spot for me right now? And for me, I needed to ask that question in meditation, like, universe, show me blind spots that I have that are programs for me that are affecting my energy every day that I'm not even aware of that is going on. And for me, it was just growing up as a competitive athlete. Like I got used to talking a lot of shit with my teammates. Like, and it was like not out of like a mean, malicious place. I mean, even though it was kind of like, if people were listening from the outside, be like, do these people even like each other? Like, listen to what they're saying. Like everything was like on limits. And I never like cut below the belt because I didn't feel like I need to. But I had all these other things that I could say about you. And that carried over into my adult life where if somebody was acting in the world any other way than I thought was like all good, immediately I'm not like verbally like assaulting people. I've never been that guy. But it doesn't, you don't have to verbally say it if it's bouncing around in your mind. It's still affecting your energy and your energy is still off. You're being critical, you're being frustrated, you're being angry, you're just being a jerk. And so from there, I'm receiving jerk thoughts, I'm saying jerk words, and I'm taking jerk actions. If you want jerk results in your life, then just live in the jerk frequency. So this is what it is. So
new frequency, the jerk.
I know. All these things are just words. Like we're just how we label it using language.
Mm-hmm.
I've been to events though now where it's like I've literally had the EEG like brain frequency scanners on, and I've seen energy like real time. Where they had me think of a time where I wasn't feeling so good. I'm like, oh my gosh, look at the energy there. And they had me think of a time where I was like feeling like I was on top of the world, like victorious. And I'm like, whoa, like that's a cool frequency. I like being there. And so just knowing that this is always going on with all of us, like present moment, we always are being something. We always have a present moment state of being. If it matters to us and we're not like demanding of ourselves to being like blissful, it's awesome when we're there. Side note, if we're ever experiencing anything that we enjoy, doesn't matter what it is, I highly recommend knowing what parts of this physical world, because we are physical, that you enjoy the most. And when you're doing any of those things, the rest of the planet doesn't exist. Like be so hyper-focused and present to whatever you're doing and be able to ask yourself, how much fun can this experience be? Because even if you've had that same experience 100 other times, this is a brand new one. And the frequency can go to a place that you've never been before if you allow it to. It won't go there if you start thinking about what you have to do tomorrow or what else you should be doing. Maybe you should be more productive and not having so much fun. I don't know whoever created that. Like I'm ever enjoying myself, like I'm like fully there. Like my phone will go on do not disturb, my favorite setting of all the settings, the little moon. And I don't exist to the rest of the planet. I'm just enjoying whatever it is that I'm doing right now. So I hope I answered what you asked me somewhere in there. I think
I did. Amazing. Yeah. Thank you.
Yeah. Did I get to what you said? You said, that's what you asked me, right? I hope so.
Mm-hmm.
It was good stuff anyways for anybody out there. Kat inspired all that out of me. What's going on in your mind right now, Kat? And I have one more question for you. Yep.
I'm just present to the conversation. I'm enjoying it. I think it's a next level conversation. It'll be really powerful for people to listen in on.
It's fun. I never have any idea what's going to fly out of my mouth, but like I said, I'm just okay with it. I'm just happy with it. Whatever it is, it's meant to be said, and it wouldn't have come without the energy that you brought to inspire that out. Because I noticed with these conversations, the momentum just rises throughout the whole thing. And if somebody only tunes in for the first 5 minutes, you said awesome things. Like your first introduction was like awesome. And then as momentum has risen, it's like, whoa, now we're channeling from this frequency, whatever you want to call
Mhm.
it. Awesome, the awesome
Mhm.
frequency. We have the jerk and the awesome frequency now. Uh,
I like your frequency scale.
just whatever. But people like are talking about, which I'm super, also why I love talking to so many different people, because a lot of people are purposely tuning into different frequencies and different realms, and it's awesome, like the information that they're channeling from there. For me, when people ask me, like, I'm just channeling from all that is. Like,
Mhm.
that's another word for God, universe. Like, I don't care where it comes from, if it's a place where it's like feels good. Like, I really
Mhm.
don't care where it goes. And because sometimes you'll notice this, Cat, where we say things like, ooh, like when you mentioned like channeling your book, where you're learning at the same time. Like, I
Mhm.
say things so many times that it was like, I've never said that before, but that's like a good awareness, for a good reminder for
Mhm.
me and for everyone. Like, this is just all reminders. Like, it's all what we know innately. We first come here as little babies, little unconditional loving little beings. Um,
Yeah.
and then we tend to forget and then get to remember.
And I want to tie that into like this idea of planning, right? Because this is essentially what we're talking about is like we're not planning. Like this episode isn't the only thing that's planned is like, hey, we're meeting on Zoom at this time, and we're both conscious beings. So you probably set your frequency ahead of time. Myself as well. It's like I come in with a deliberate like this is the energy I'm coming in, and same thing, whatever comes forward in that energy. But I want to highlight this because this is something that I experienced a lot. Is like I'm not much of a planner. Like I have vision. I know like I'm very clear on what I'm creating in my life and what I desire and what's going to manifest it in the physical realm in time, but I'm not like a heavy planner in the physical realm. And I always say to people, like, you were created perfectly for your mission. Like, you were created perfectly for who you're here to be. And even our, like, quote unquote, the things that we're like, oh shit, I'm probably not doing that correctly according to like the way other people do it is also our superpower, right? So for those of us who are creative and don't do well with like planning and structuring and making everything just so, it's like that's actually our superpower. I was speaking on stage one time and I got off after, and two women came up to me and they go, "Were you channeling?" And I was like, same kind of thing. I was like, "Well, not real. Like, I had an intention when I went up there, and then I just speak from that intention." But I was like, "Yeah, there almost needs to be like uh, a normalizing of that." I'm like, it's not.
For sure.
I'm not like, okay, let me tune in. I'm just like, I have an intention. I have a clarity on being of service and what I'm to talk about. And then I let the information come through and I trust it and I get the fuck out of my own way so it can come through. Yeah. But I just wanted to highlight that because I'm like, yeah, I'm not a planner. It's like if I go live, I have an intention of what I'm talking about. And then it's like, just let it flow. And I think it's powerful when we give ourselves permission to trust ourselves more, to trust like what comes through in the moment, to trust those impulses even in conversation or in business and all these things, because it's where the best creative stuff comes from.
I love that you said that. I'm so about like normalizing everything. Like, I love to say this, there's no like special breed of human where only they can be connected and only they can like create and manifest. Like, all of us, again, are the same non-physical energy, and we're just different expressions of it. We're all different
Hmm.
waves in the same ocean. And without every single
Hmm.
one of us, there would be no ocean. And when I use the ocean analogy, I just use that as all that is. Again, universe, God, love, whatever you want to call it. And so we're always channeling. It just is the question of what station are you on?
Hmm.
Awesome. And call it whatever you want to call it. So your thoughts are coming from that exact frequency. Like, we're never going to
Hmm.
have a depressed thought from a happy frequency and vice versa. It's just
Hmm.
not going to happen. So I love that you set the intention and you just let the information flow out of you, which is awesome, because what's meant to come out from that intention will always. And you notice
Hmm.
that. You're awesome. This has been such a fun conversation. I love these.
Yeah, it has been great.
I knew I was going to hit you with like some powerful energy. I mean, I typically do, but I've already done, like, I did a workshop earlier for people. Now this is quarantine. So I'm wanting to help people like create, like, from not a place of, oh no, how am I going to make money? But of, hey, this is an opportunity for us. Like, we're at home, like, we're online, like, we can actually collaborate together and create some things, which I already had going and in place, but I'm like, here, like, check this out. This may be something where can have more awareness and more abundance flowing into your life, and take this as an opportunity where we may not be
Mm-hmm.
so busy to where now you can actually get clear on what's important to you, and
Totally.
let's create that together. So I think that
Yeah.
was,
It's interesting because even like I have an online business, and I was talking to my mom on the phone yesterday. I went for a walk and we were talking about that. She's like, yeah, I'm noticing that I don't like, I'm not like jumping up to go do things. And we both work like in this space, but I noticed an energetic shift in myself in my lifestyle hasn't really changed that much. Like I said, like I can't go to the gym now. So I'm working out at home and outside and going for runs, and it's fantastic and I love it. Um, and I noticed a bit of an energy shift though, of where, oh, sometimes I'm in an energy of waking up and making shit happen. Like, okay, I got to be the engine that makes all these things happen in my life. And with the things that are going on in the outside world, it's kind of like a, oh, it's like a calm and going inward, even though my physical surroundings personally haven't shifted that much. Like I'm still doing a lot of the same things I do, but the energy of it's shifted. So it's really cool, like what's happening right now. And that's why I think people hearing conversations like this and like that's so amazing. The workshop you provided people to start to see things differently and to start to look into these different ways that we can use this as a great opportunity. Um, and I think it's really important for us people who are already like aware and already visionaries to a certain degree to be speaking these messages and to come out at this time and say, hey, look, there's this and there's this and there's this and there's this, for the person who maybe is stuck in the lower frequency and just feeling sad. And then they hear this podcast and they go, wait, like what? Oh, there's the sun again. Um,
you want to hear
so
something really
yeah, that's
interesting?
powerful.
You want to hear something really interesting? So
Yeah.
the universe sent me, and this is the cool thing. Like synchronicities can come in so many ways, and this was totally not what I thought it was. But the universe sent me someone, and it was actually on a dating website this morning. Um,
Hmm.
and like I had a message, like, and I normally don't like pay any attention, but I've got to the point now where I wake up and expect awesome things to be on my phone in all sorts of different ways. Like a lot of times, and I'll admit I probably have shared this with people before just because I care about them, and I say it's probably not a good idea to go right to your phone and let your phone dictate where your energy is. I prefer someone setting their energy like you do, Kat, or
Hmm.
meditating or doing what they need to do. But for me, like just what I personally do, to be honest, I expect really cool things to be on my phone. So I'm actually really excited to wake up and see what, because I sleep on do not disturb. So no buzz or bing or ting will ever wake me up. So I like always have these like alerts to see what's going on. And it could be all sorts of stuff. So anyways, this human caught my attention today. And so I go on there and like I message her back. And like for me, this may be too much information, but my audience knows everything about me. I'm very open when it comes to all areas of life. But my point is like I wanted to see like what she was doing today. I'm always like in the moment, actively like if I'm on a dating website, I'm going to see what plans are today. Like I'm not on there like setting up typically for the future. But my point is, I find out early in the conversation, one, she was like fearful about meeting anybody right now while we're like in quarantine. She's like, well, she's like, I have one of my friends is like more high risk for getting this and being hurt by it. They have like lung cancer or something. I don't know too many people that know people with lung cancer, but she has her best friend. She's like, I'm not going to like take the risk and meet someone, which is like, I respect that. And then I share with her, which this is what my point is on all of this. Like people have to be ready for the awareness. And it was a great reminder for me to just meet people where they are, because like I care about people so much. Like I just want to share with them what I know. And I've created a video in the last week about the coronavirus and how like when they announced that the NBA season was cut short, like I float out just an awesome video just as far as what's going on internally with our cells and how, a stressed out body leaves us vulnerable with the coronavirus or with anything. Like our cells are going to be a mirror reflection of our state of being moment by moment, and our body is producing a few million of them per second. So what do we think is going to happen if we're stressed for a whole day or for a whole week? Like you're going to get sick, coronavirus or not. You're going to get something is going to happen symptomatically to reflect your state of being. So if we're just
Hmm.
happy, peaceful, content, like our body will be okay. Even if you had the coronavirus and every other disease in the world in your body right now, our body can actually heal itself. So that's just a
Hmm.
different conversation. But this
Hmm.
person wasn't ready for all that. I didn't share all that, obviously, but I just even offered like, hey, I created a video that could help, with you and your friend as far as right now. And I thought like she would just love it and like appreciate that. And she was like, well, not really in the market for a guru right now. Like, it just answered back. I was like, ooh, that was an interesting reply. You're making me less interested in hanging out with you. But I'm not
Yeah.
going to like, so I was just like, yeah, I just wanted to release it. And I just want to say, well, if you want to see who's this like random dude that you just started talking to, like I gave her my like IG. So I was like, there's some stuff on there
Mm-hmm.
that might be a benefit. And then she like unmatched me, which is totally all good. Like I wasn't really feeling like I was going to wait 2 months or 2 weeks, whenever this quarantine is done, and probably
You're too
follow up.
joyful.
I'm super
you're
joyful.
you're too optimistic.
And I'm so detached from results. But it was a great reminder, and I was appreciative for it because I was like, I always think when anything happens that is a little bit off, like in life, like when that was like a little bit a one-off, like not normal. So I was like, what's happening? What's the universe trying to show me here? I always will consciously ask that question. And I was like, Noelle, you're just gonna meet people where they are. Like she wasn't asking you for any of that. Like
Mm.
she just wanted to like set up a date with you after the quarantine was done. So, and you're trying to like help her friend with lung cancer. That was the real reason I wanted her to have the video for the friend, because I'm like, well, damn, I have
Mm-hmm.
something that could help with that. So you know, it was great for me going into the workshop to have that awareness, and that was my whole point in sharing this whole story, because now I get to speak from a place of there's going to be people on here that they didn't sign up for the workshop that where I'm like giving all of these truths and I have like a guest spiritual teacher on with me and they're on here to learn like these spiritual truths. That's not why they're here. They're here to try to create some abundance for themselves in a time of, you know, people are being fearful. So I got to meet people where they are there. So that was a great reminder to not be my normal, like sharing like podcast stuff for people that didn't sign up to listen to the podcast.
I think it's okay to offend people with what you know. I have a
I
different
still
belief
do it.
system. I fully that used to be an edge for me because okay, so this is my experience of that. And now we're just kind of riffing, but I want to talk, this is like a cool conversation. It's like I kind of talked about this on a live stream I did yesterday as well, of like we can have compassion for where people are at. Like we can have compassion for someone's current state of consciousness and how they're interpreting the events of their life. Because we all have blind spots, right? Like I'm sure something could happen to me today or tomorrow and I have a negative reaction, although it probably wouldn't last very long. But we all have these blind spots. So it's like we can be compassionate. And for me, actually, more of an edge has been like just being a little more bold about those things and allowing people to go through their offendedness, allowing people to have their I don't need a fucking Groot or like whatever it is, because it's almost like I don't know. I think sometimes those of us who are spreading light and love, we hold back a little too much. And it's like I'm a little more bold now and being like, I can actually help you with that, you know, and just putting that card in there and just giving it to someone without being forceful. Like it's the energy of it, right? Without being like, here, I gotta fix you or solve this problem. But I don't know. I more and more am like, well, that sounds like a interesting reality you've chosen. And what if you were to consider this other option? And the more I've done that with clients, the more people actually are like drawn into my world because it's almost like I call them on their shit, and they kind of like for a second are like, holy shit, what just happened? What did she just say? What did I just get called out on something? And then they're like, wait, another world? Okay. So it's, I mean, yeah, it's an art. Every situation is different. I've been a little more comfortable offending people with the light and while loving them and having compassion for it at the same time. Um,
I love that you
but
said
that's an
I'm
interesting experience.
I'm the same as you when it comes to, because if you're around me and if you've signed up to do anything that I'm doing, then yeah, you get like 100% like this human didn't ask me anything and I was kind of volunteering. Like
Right.
I've been like the king in my life of unsolicited like advice because I care about people and I'm not attached to, even though I was like, in the future, would I do it that way with her? Maybe, maybe not. Because I'm like, well, if I just played it cool, like I'm I'm a happily single human, and I was attracted to her. So I was like, I could have. One, I was when she told me that she was like not down to hang out until after quarantine. It kind of like I was just willing to just give everything because I was like, there's a chance that we may not ever talk again. Anyways, I'm just not really
Mm-hmm.
following up like that when it comes to the dating world. That's a different conversation. But no, I appreciate you saying that because is maybe the reason for me bringing that up is for you to just give me even more permission to be, just extra, bold, which I always am anyway. But that just kind of
Mm-hmm.
caught my attention as far as, so I want to be
Yeah.
giving this. it's the unsolicited advice to give it or to not give it. Did they ask? I mean, and if they ask for it by being a client, then yeah, it's our
Yeah.
responsibility to like give like fully. But then again, at the same time, if they're being brought into our lives, like all I asked was like, can I share with you a video that could probably help you and your friend? You know, so
Yeah.
that's not like super invasive. So I appreciate you saying that.
It's a good filtering process if somebody's offended early on. It's like, okay.
Oh, for sure. More than anything, I was like, thank you for not like wasting any time in my life of hanging out with
Hmm.
someone that would just could be a headache if you get offended that easily, and unmatch me. Like the the goal of that, like to
Hmm. Hmm.
personally, side note out there for these listening, because I don't talk about online dating too much. I much prefer to meet humans in person, and I will walk up and talk to anyone that I am drawn to at any time. So that has been my story for a long time. So we're all connected in this. And like Kat said earlier in the episode, and we've gone longer than a lot of mine, but sometimes these things just flow. But like Kat said earlier in the episode, I never feel lonely on this earth because there's 7.7 billion of us. And at any
Hmm.
time you can meet someone awesome. And you never know why someone could be brought into your experience, you know, for any reason. And it could just be one cool conversation, or it could be, you know, who knows going forward. So
Hmm.
we live life like that, like such an adventure.
Yeah.
And I should
Being
want,
open, being open. I do want to say something quickly on that because I had an experience. My friend, he's a transformational leader. He's a really powerful being. And he'll sometimes hit me with these like nuggets or like a teaching point that just kind of like does that, hits me upside the head and has me see things differently. And just kind of out of nowhere, he goes, "Be open, Kat." And I was like, "Okay." And he's like, "No, really, be open." He's like, and then he just out of nowhere, he said, "He could be anywhere, but you need to have your eyes open." And I was like, it was kind of, I'm like, why are you downloading this message for me? But it, even in my consciousness and my awareness, and I'm self-aware, and I was like, okay, I'm gonna hear this. Like I'm gonna hear like where am I was just actually about to say where am I being closed off, but I even want to shift that language into and the energy to where is there opportunity for me to be more open. And even me being someone, like I said, where I believe everywhere I go, I meet cool people and I make friends. He said that to me, and then I like went to my gym the next day and I started realizing like where there's these people around me almost like available energetically to connect and have conversations, like whether it's a dating connection or just a conversation in the moment. And I went in intentionally the next day with like, I'm going to be open. And then talking to different people and like seeing a friend of mine that I usually, sometimes I'm like, I don't really want to talk today, so I'm going to kind of go out this way. And actually being like, hey, how are you, how is your day, what's up, and having a conversation. And so yeah, I think it's just powerful for people to hear these conversations, for us to have these conversations, because it's like we always get to be in this like curious inquiry of what might be a little bit of a blind spot, or where we get to just, sometimes it's a subtle shift of like, be more open. Where are you having your blinders so set on the way things have to be, should be, are going to come into your life, that you're not seeing something that might be right there, might be right around the corner, might be. And oftentimes it's just like this subtle tuning to a different awareness or a different channel, and then going, oh. And we always get to be in these curiosities, and it's just, yeah, it's just powerful. So just wanted to say that.
I love that you said that. And it's interesting culturally, and I knew you were from Canada earlier in the conversation because of the way you said about. And then
Still
you
got
said,
that.
and then you said it. It's cute. I've always loved it. I had a teacher like when I was in elementary school, and we used to always have fun because she would say like from the front of the class, and we would just always hear it. And I'm sure that I'm guessing the culture is probably similar as the U.S. when it comes to it's not as normal. Which I love what you just said. Like if women out there listening, like if you're ever inspired to just say hello or say anything to a male, like in any capacity, like you make it so much easier for the guy to just be able to, if you want to see like who someone is or what they're about, like just say anything. And then if
Hmm.
they'll keep the conversation going or they won't, and then it's probably not someone that you're like super excited to have spend a lot of time around anyways if they can't just have a normal conversation. Maybe you want to have a stale, I mean, I'm not going to judge it, but I'm just giving that side note. For me as a guy, like if I saw you anywhere, Kat, just because your energy is awesome, like I could tell how Kat responded to my first voice message, just with her energy, like she sent back to me. I don't remember if it was a voice message. You sent me a voice message back, didn't you? I can't remember exactly.
Probably.
But I just knew that we would have a cool connection. And Kat's an interesting human being. So if she was ever interested in looking human being for me, so if I saw her anywhere, I would go up and say something. I would just want to know who she is. My brain messes with me if I don't. I've been this way since I was like 13, 14. Like I will just want to see. It means more to me to know who someone is versus not saying something and then wondering for the rest of the day or the time down there. Like it just, that bothers me. And once I notice that bothers me, it doesn't even matter to me if I go up and someone's like, they're in a jerk frequency. If I want to judge their frequency, like at least I know. So now I'm like, now I can get back to doing whatever I'm doing. But I'm only say this to say that I've rarely in my life, and I think culturally it's just not, I think it's always been put on the guy to like start conversations. For ladies out there, like it's okay. Like if you guys, and you don't even have to like go up and like be hitting on the dude. You can if you want to. But if you say anything, like ask any question about anything going on, like it just makes it so easy because now the conversation is started and then you could sense if you want to keep talking to someone. And I mean, who knows where it goes? It would just be like a 30-second conversation. But you just inspired me to say that because when your spiritual connection said be open, I sensed that had to do somewhat with male-female interaction, if I was correct on that. So yeah, side note for the ladies out there. It's okay for you guys to say something initially. If I'm around and I'm feeling energy, I'll talk to you, but I'm just saying most guys, I think, especially with like the online dating culture, it's just a little bit of fear there to like say something. So we can connect with, I mean, we all live in places where there's millions of people typically. Like, you can connect with people anytime, anywhere, for sure.
I think we have to be responsible for our own fear and being aware of what's going on inside and where we're being open and where we're being closed down. Because for women a lot, I think it's, my experience has been sometimes that there's a fear, that there's a like, I'm going to intentionally shut down my energy. And I do some sex and relationship coaching too. That's actually what I initiated with into the coaching world. But it's like, as women, we'll sometimes shut down when we go out in public because experiences in the past have been unwanted attention. It's like, oh, if the energy is open, it's coming from all sources, not just the ones that we're interested in connecting with. So a lot of times women will kind of put on their like bitch face, like just like the jerk frequency. It's like I'm in my frequency, I'm in my thing, don't fucking talk to me. And it's actually like a protection thing. That's what we could have a whole other podcast about. Seriously, just like
this is my favorite
feminine, masculine relationship dynamics. But it's interesting because I've explored that. I noticed this. Okay, one final story and then we can wrap this up. But this was years ago. I was at the gym and I was starting to become conscious of some of these dynamics. And there was a very attractive man that I would always see at my gym. And I would walk past him and I would look at the floor. And I didn't even notice I was doing it. And then I was going, oh my God, what am I doing? Like, there's this, like, what I would see is like a majestic human being that has delightful energy and is physically very attractive. And it's like, I'm scared of him. Like, instead of looking and smiling and showing an interest, I divert myself, look at the floor and like walk away. And we have these funny subconscious human things that we do that we're not aware of. And it was like, so I started going like, well, what is that about? And I was like, oh wow, there's some like story of unworthiness of like, I'm not on that caliber of human being to associate with someone who's that attractive or that's that high energy. So I better kind of scamper over here. But it's so fascinating when, as humans, we start to become aware of these things and see these things and see how we're responding, and then just make those subtle tweaks and just through becoming aware of it. And so I like became aware of that and go, well, that can go now. Like I can drop that. I can release that. I can let that go. And it doesn't need to be a big deal. But yeah, I mean, it's fascinating. Some of these like dynamics that we just operate in without an awareness of them. And then as we become aware of them, we can let them go and shift. So yeah,
I love it.
I'll stop there because I could talk all day.
We could have a separate conversation about this. Male-female interaction or just human relationships, period, in whatever capacity, especially intimate, that lead to it, is my favorite conversation on the planet. It's the area of life that I've always been most interested in and have thrust myself as far as being most involved in from the time I was 10, where I used to wonder if girls would watch me playing basketball on the playground, and they weren't watching. They could care less. They were doing their own thing. It's like, that's not the way to get girls. Like, they're not going to watch you.
No, they were probably watching.
They were subtle,
They
so
were probably
subtle that I could
watching.
have done it. Like they were doing a good job of not being obvious about it for sure. So I'm gonna actually have to start going up and like actually talking to them because they're not gonna do it for me. So it's just an evolution. But for ladies out there, and this is another side note, because I like to ask ladies sometimes if they ever complain about guys approaching. And I understand there's a way where it's just guys out there listening, like, don't be obnoxious. Like sometimes I think in my mind, does that ever work? Like, stop it. Like if you wait for the girl to walk all the way past you and then say something, like to me, that just is an insecurity if you couldn't say something when she was right in front of you. Like you're face to face and you could say something, but you wait till she goes all the way here and now say something. What's going on with that, guys? But for ladies, like if you had no one coming up to you ever, would you want that reality? I don't think the answer is no. We can appreciate that someone is at least showing appreciation to us. And of course, like we don't have to like how they're doing. We can still maintain our frequency and say whatever, again, channels from that frequency. Like, I'm just working out right now, or I'm seeing someone, or whatever you want to say. But just, I love what you just said, because I notice also, like, sometimes girls like you guys try really hard not to make any eye contact, and just so be it. Like if someone has the big headphones on at the gym and isn't making any eye contact, there's just not in the cards to talk. If you want a guy to see if a guy will talk to you, just pop your headphones out for a second. Just be open to where we can get an easy word or two in. Someone will talk to you if you want them to. So we could go a long time on that topic. I won't push it too far. Me and Kat have already had too much fun talking here, and don't want to monopolize her time.
Maybe when you come on my show, we could have that as the top. We could talk more about that specifically, about these energetic dynamics.
So I will say something. So I'm 37. I've never met a man on the planet my age or younger that has put more thought and energy and attention on the female sex. And as far as just wanting to, I just love the feminine energy. I love, I will approach, me and my best friend at 13 used to go to the mall with no money and no way to communicate with these humans, and just see who could get the most phone numbers, just to see. And you know how much rejection you experience at 13 in a public mall, just going up and talking to strangers. So I haven't met anyone my age or younger that has more experience in this area of life than me. So I love talking about it. It's fun. And I just encourage everybody to remember that there's 7.7 billion humans on the planet. And whatever you're into, you could be into 5'4" people that enjoy the circus and like to perform in the circus. And there's a plethora of humans out there that you can attract to you that are exactly that. And you don't have to understand how it's going to happen, when, where, who they are. We can attract anything that we want. So our life experience has got us clear on what we do desire. Now all we have to do is become the frequency of that and enjoy the adventure of, I could be anywhere, anytime, and have the human or humans that I want to come into my experience do so. And that's my favorite thing to remind and to know. So I love it.
Beautiful.
So fun.
Yay.
So fun. I didn't ask you the last question that I normally ask, and I'm I kick myself if there's other things, but I feel like
do you want to?
So long. I do. I always ask one question at the end. I always wait for the frequency to go where it goes, and then because I know the internet will live most likely forever, definitely throughout our lifetimes. So someone could be attracted to this episode right when it's released and 50 years from now. So you've been doing it the whole time and sharing so many awesome things. I'd just be curious to know if there's anything that is left to flow out that you would want someone to know anytime they're attracted to this episode. It could be anything, any subject, but just that could make an impact on their lives whenever they hear this episode.
Yeah, it would be trust that you're here for a reason. Trust that you're hearing this for a reason. Trust where you are, and be open to what's coming, and to know you're a powerful fucking being. You are powerful beyond measure.
I love that. I'm so happy that you said that. I'm going to leave it there. I'm not going to piggyback on that. Rewind that. Listen to what Kat just said again. Very, very important. And then she just affirmed the truth of who all of us are. And that's what I just love knowing that if we ever are seeing somebody awesome like Kat, or anyone out there that you're like, dang, they're awesome. They're living their life. They're this, they're that. That's a reflection of you. And also, if you're ever pointing at someone and you're saying they're this, they're that, and you're condemning them, that's a reflection of you. So if we can
spot it, you got it.
Yeah, I love that. If you spot it, you got it. I love that. So that's all I have to say about those things. And I'm just rooting for all of you guys out there. Kat, thank you so much for coming on. And a conversation I would have wanted to have with you anyway, for sure. I've become a recording snob, so I'm happy it's recorded and we can share it to impact people. And I'm looking forward to coming on your show if you still want me on there. And you're like, damn,
absolutely, yeah,
crazy stories and goes in all sorts of directions. Just know that my energy is intensified when I'm a guest, because notice when you ask me the one question, how I went on like a whole like rampage, because you just channeled all that, you pulled all that out of me. So that's typically how I am as a guest. I really like being the guest because I just get to chill, and then whatever question is asked, I get to pour out. So any question you ask, I will answer. I don't care what it is.
Yay.
So you guys can look forward to that. This episode, by the time I'm on Catch, you guys will already have heard this. So stay tuned for that. And just appreciate everybody out there and rooting for all of you out there. Definitely share this episode. Will be very impactful for anybody that you share with. Share it on social media. Me and Kat shared a lot of awesome stuff. And it's really fun vibe in this conversation. I really appreciate it. And just sending everybody positive vibes out there whenever you're hearing this, whether it be now or 50 years from now. Me and Kat are still here thriving and enjoying life. So say hello to us on whatever form of social media we have been, virtual reality or whatever we're doing. And just sending so much love and light to you all. And we will talk with you soon on another episode. Kat, thank you so much. Appreciate you.
Thank you so much.
Awesome.
Thank you for being you.
Thank you for being you. We're reflecting each other. Powerful reflection in this conversation. I love it. All right, you guys. Talk to you guys soon. Have an amazing day. Awesome. That was fun. Oh my gosh, we talked for an hour and a half, me running my mouth.
Was it an hour and a half? It was an hour and a half.